All right, everyone, it is live news roundup time yet again. I figure I'll do this pretty much every day. I'm trying to make a goal of it to do it every single day this month just to see what the reception is. Because I have a feeling that if you do it every single day, then more people share it out because it's a regular show. I realize it's not always at the same time each day. When you have a little kid and, people come over, you got guests and stuff. When the cat shits and plays around in the litter box like she is right now, sometimes you have to move the schedule a little bit. Also, sometimes I'm more energetic early in the day and sometimes early afternoon, a little bit later. So I just sort of go with the flow. It's not exactly the most professional setup, but that's fine. We'll make sure that we're live on Rumble before we continue. That's always very important. I don't see any Rumble rants. Well, we are live. Hopefully the rant section is working over there. There are people watching, so we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens. Anyway, we have a packed wall-to-wall, balls-to-the-wall news roundup today. We have many funny things to talk about and some grave humor style things, but I always try to inject a few dad jokes, so don't worry, I'll do my best. Green Top LLC, how likely do you think it is I will be able to mail order machine guns in the next 4 years? That might be going a little bit far, but I hope so. I think that you'll definitely have the abolition of certain gun rules. We'll be talking about some of the lawsuits against the anti-gunners that are going on, because right now you have a dichotomy, like a split between two types of sort of angles of attack. The judiciary route is being overrun by post-Bruin decision pro-gun sentiment. They're targeting pretty much every state, pretty much every regulation, and trying to ram it through to the Supreme Court. And of course, SCOTUS did tell the lower courts, you have to make your decision in light of Bruin now, which is very, very helpful. On the other end, blue states especially, and a few of the swing states, are passing massive new anti-gun legislation. And the federal government run by Beijing Biden, of course, is trying to help them because they don't want you to be armed. They want to enslave you. So we'll see what happens. I am optimistic, however. Fire down below. Hey, Sticks, did you buy the crypto dip yet? No, I'm still holding on at the moment. Darun Albane, I DM'd you a pic of Sleazy I found online. Yes, I saw that, the piece of sushi that looks vaguely like Sleazy P. Martini. I thought you made it yourself. I didn't realize that was already there. Yes, we are getting chats on Rumble now as well. Banal Layman, morning, or Banal, rather. Morning. Well, good morning to you, too. We'll launch right into the news. First, we've got Tim Pool responding to the January 6th committee. This is fairly big news. He's posting this on Newsweek. Tim Pool, host of Timcast IRL. You can subscribe to Tim Pool. He is a YouTuber as well. He should do more new tech exclusives, I think, but I like the dude's content, generally speaking. Well, just a second here. Now, let me go down to the spot. I'll just read some of this out verbatim. During this week's January 6th committee hearings, I was surprised to find myself included in the evidence. I was even more surprised to see myself misrepresented by members of the United States Congress. I am not surprised that you were misrepresented, Tim. And I have a feeling that inside, you're not particularly surprised either. If you're going to get mentioned by the J6 committee, they're going to misrepresent you. It sort of reminded me a little bit of the Jared Holt stink piece that really was the foreshock of the purging of content creators on YouTube and Facebook and elsewhere many years ago. I remember being named in that, and I actually spoke to the motherfucker, and I tried to talk some sense into him, and he edited the article silently to remove myself and several others like Sargon and Blonde of in the Belly of the Beast from the main section, which was about alt-right content creators that are clearly trying to turn your kids into Nazis. No, we were demoted from that. We're not trying to turn people into Nazis. We're just the gateway drug. We're the marijuana to the heroin that was the alt-right, supposedly, according to that. He now has a lucrative job with a globalistic firm that's tied with NATO and so forth, which is really funny. It's at the Atlantic Council, I believe so. During Tuesday's televised hearing, Representative Jamie Raskin, Democrat from Maryland, tried to connect then-President Donald Trump's tweet calling his supporters to come to a rally in Washington on January 6th with a violent attack that later unfolded. In response to Trump's tweet that the protest would be wild, Trump supporters responded immediately, Raskin said. Meanwhile, other key Trump supporters, including far-right media personalities, began promoting the wild protest on January 6th. I believe that if you look back, you'll remember that I did not. Just to be clear on the record, it was a bad idea. I think many people realize that. As proof that right-wing media personalities were promoting the wild protest, Representative Raskin played a video. It featured 3 people promoting the protest with gusto. It also included a video of me simply reading out a news report that the protest was likely to happen, noting that Trump and his supporters viewed it as Trump's last stand, concurring with the president that it was likely to get wild. You see, here's the thing. They're talking about the promotion of, what ended up happening at January 6th, which was, a federally sponsored riot. There was some glowing going on there. We won't mention Ray Epps. I did an exclusive, by the way. Follow me on some combination of BitChute, Odyssey, Minds, or Rumble if you want to see that one, because it can't go on YouTube for obvious reasons. That being aside, and where did Tim Pool promote it? It's not there. The clip doesn't show him promoting it. He reports the news. He typically doesn't make the news. He's made the news now, though. Congrats, by the way, to Tim Pool. When you have this kind of hit piece against you, good times are ahead. The opposite is the case. I have condemned political violence hundreds of times on my show, Timcast IRL, like I did on January 6th itself after the violence had unfolded. And he goes on to continue to make his point. And the fact is that we get this over and fucking over again against content creators. People who have not called for violence, do not call for extremism, do not call for anything that's really out of the orthodoxy of yesteryear's conservative movements, are labeled Nazis by J6 and similar groups. It's really interesting because, of course, Liz Cheney, who's going to lose her job in about 4 weeks and become a lame duck because she's clearly not going to beat Hageman, is part of this as well. Interesting to see so-called principled conservatives, by which I mean the Mitt Romneys of the world, participating in this, and with gun control, and with a million other things. So yes, congratulations to Tim Pool for getting on the J6 committee. Personally, I would be proud if I were Tim Pool right now. Gavin Spirit, good evening from Aussie land. Excellent. Yeah, I don't know exactly what time it is in Australia. Hell, you cover like 4 or 5 time zones, so, take your pick. Don Browning, love everyone. Mwah. Excellent. We need more love in the world. Enough of the black pilling and shit like that. Self-improve. The government doesn't want you to do it, so you should. Wonder Blubber, ever try growing veggies indoors like green onion? No, I prefer to grow things outdoors. I have a really good setup in Rutland, although now the soil definitely needs replenishment by now. I have seen pictures of the garden that I used to tend there. It's not a pretty sight. It's going to require weeks and weeks of daily work in order to bring it back up to speed. I've decided to convert it into just a perennial garden. So herbs and flowers and stuff, you want the pollinators to come in because it's a good location for that. And in the future, the actual veggie garden will not be in that particular location. So I'll have gardens on 2 continents, and one of them will have 2 gardens. It's going to be great. If I could only do one thing, and I could just make sure that I had my meal at the end of the day and a bed to sleep in, but, I could only do one hobby, it would be gardening. It wouldn't even be making fucking videos. It would be growing plants. One of my key loves in life, George B. Pryor. Hi, Sticks. Well, hello, George. Eric writes, poll has been hot garbage for the past week. Big time herbs. Also, meow. No, it's been chaotic, but it's fun. I know Tucker Carlson came out and said that he liked using 4chan now, and all of a sudden a bunch of boomer normies piled in. Hopefully it does not Facebook the site. So make sure to clank on, unload your Andy 6 memes, and just fuck away at the boomers. Drive them back off the site because we don't need that shit. The Grizzly. Tim Pool. Orange Man can't win because of mean tweets. Me. How did he win in the first time? Yeah, Tim Pool is wrong on Donald Trump. That is true. He discounts his viability, and I don't know why. Based on his own premises, he would be wrong. I'd love to debate him on the topic, but again, if I'm appearing on his show, you have to do it in person. I would set up a debate with him. I don't know, on Break the Rules or something like that. I don't know if he'd be willing. But I still like his content. You're capable of having disagreements with other content creators without being at each other's throats. Some content creators do not understand this, by the way. And it's very sad because I've spent the better part of half a decade trying to get togetherness among content creators. Prop one another up. We've all got the same enemies at the end of the day. Legacy Media, J6 Committee comes to mind. Epic Man 004. Joe Biden keeps shaking invisible people's hands. Maybe he can do an occult stream with you. Yes, he has this weird proclivity now, and it's only in the last 6 months where he'll be randomly moving to the side, and he's always slightly stooped over. And he'll be like this, I don't know, fucking Igor or something. And he'll be pointing as though he's invisibly asking someone where he's supposed to go. And I can only think it must be dementia related, which it probably is. Jay Reed, should SCOTUS overturn U.S. term limits versus Throton? It would automatically term limit Congress members in 23 states. Thomas wrote the minority opinion. I don't really agree with term limits because then potentially you're limiting the terms for people that are doing a good job. I don't personally care if someone makes a career out of being in politics. I just hope that they do a good job. And often that's not the case. But having term limits, you swap one corrupt asshole out for another, same district or same state. The constituents clearly voted for an asshole to begin with. Why would they not vote for the next asshole? The asshole that the asshole endorses will win 9 times out of 10. I don't know what it improves. Fire down below. Biggest and only criticism of Tim Pool is he claims to be a man of principle, but then claims Biden won the election because more people hate Trump. Well, I mean, Trump does have a large negative opinion rating, but it's lower than Biden's now. And you've got a registration differential, and you've got an enthusiasm differential, and you've got defortification going on in a half dozen states. And you've got a million other things going on right now, none of which look good for the Democrats. The Cancer Man, would you invite ghost politics to the midterms? Yeah. I had talked to him briefly through some, I can't remember the name of the app. I'm not very good with keeping up with these things. But yeah, we could potentially get something together. You might be streaming himself, though. Student of history, you choose only gardening? Emperor Diocletian approves. Yes, after he was emperor, he started gardening a lot. And he was asked how he could possibly be happy with the fact that he had been emperor, he's living in palaces, making all the decisions, and now he's growing vegetables. And he said something to the effect of, well, of course I'm happy. Have you seen the size of my cabbages? That's basically me in a nutshell. Hell, if I had to be president of the United States, once I left, the first thing that I would do is disappear from public life other than shit posting on the internet. I'd have the Secret Service agents using rakes and shovels and shit like that, and they'd be gardening too. They wouldn't have a choice. The Cancer Man, also, can you debate Vouch on horse wangs too? I will never debate someone whose entire MO is just to get people to talk about them in order to get attention and therefore make more money or subscribers. I don't do the grifting game. The breadliners are a bunch of horse shitters, literally and figuratively. We're already over 1,000 live viewers, and it's 5:30 in the morning Eastern time. So anyway, number 2 news item. FPC files supplemental brief and lawsuit challenging Texas young adult handgun carry ban. This is one of a number of pro-gun attempts, judiciary in nature. Firearms Policy Coalition. Fort Worth, Texas. Today, Firearms Policy Coalition announced the filing of a supplemental brief in Andrews versus McCraw. It's Texas lawsuit seeking to restore the right to carry arms in public for adults under 21 years of age. I don't know why fucking Texas, of all places, would even have this rule in the beginning, but for some reason they did. The brief, which was requested by the court after the Supreme Court's opinion in New York, NYC RPA versus Bruin, can be viewed at fpclegal.org. Where previously Fifth Circuit precedent foreclosed plaintiffs' facial challenge, that precedent had been abrogated and the court is free to consider this case as a matter of first impression under the new analysis, argues the brief. The new standard announced by the Supreme Court, which supersedes the former, is exactly the text, history, and tradition-based standard that plaintiffs have been arguing in favor of all along. And, as plaintiffs have explained, and will demonstrate again here, under that standard, the carry ban must be declared unconstitutional as inconsistent with the amendment's text and our nation's history of firearms regulation. It's cut and dry that they are correct. Will the lower court actually uphold this? Maybe not. Maybe they figure, hey, well, we can block it anyway. It may or may not even go before SCOTUS. They have to take up the case. They have to agree to hear it in order for anything to happen. So yes, I do support this, and this is one of a number of cases. FPC and a bunch of other groups are going after dozens of states right now for their unconstitutional various bans and regulations. You have magazine limits. I don't know, by the way, if Vermont has been queried on this. That wasn't through a federal court. That was through Vermont State Supreme Court. You have that, mag bans. You have purchasing or carrying firearms under 21 in some cases. Sometimes just long rifles, sometimes confusingly just handguns, and sometimes both. You have, the New York State with Hochul there. They're trying to look through people's social media before they issue them permits to carry firearms. You have a bunch of cases that are on the docket. I think that the majority of them, in light of Bruin, will of necessity be favoring the gun owners. Those that don't, in some cases, probably go before SCOTUS. My hope is that they quickly take those cases up, fast track them, and expedite the decisions. The Constitution, in the most explicit sense, which the Second Amendment certainly is, must be protected more vigorously than implied rights. They should expedite the decisions. They should do it before the midterms if possible. The Cancer Man, what about Banana Boy TJ? Would you clank him death too? He blocked me on Twitter. He doesn't want to talk to me because I kept owning him. He's a pussy as well. He's also trying to do a career pivot where he dresses as Rob Zombie and says weird off-the-wall shit just to get attention. It basically is like him allegedly releasing his own leaked porn videos there. The banana one, the other one which was chocolate sauce or something like that. There's a part where he was dipping his balls in hot oil. And I think that he probably did that himself just to get attention when he saw his subscriber base was stagnating. Some content creators do that. They think that they're peaking. And he doesn't realize the YouTube algorithms have shifted years ago and no longer favor independent content creators, which he is. And so he spurgs out, he goes crazy, and he says, oh my God, what's going to happen to my livelihood? I thought I'd be at 10 million subscribers by now. And so he decides to start attention seeking, fame whoring. Many such cases. Most content creators don't have the wherewithal to simply sit back, logically analyze, okay, the algorithm has shifted. What do I do now? What can I change up? I do not want to completely destroy my brand by being completely crazy. That's what I did. Yeah, I was dead in the water there for the better part of a year. Now we're growing again. All I had to do was make more live streams and apply my analysis of the algorithms to try to get around them. I succeeded, like I always did. And most of the other people that have had this problem are failing, which is really funny to me because most of them deserve it. Not a whole lot of talent in the left. So yes, there are numerous pro-gun cases that are going forward to various courts. We'll see what happens, but in light of Bruin, it's going to be a real hard sell to say that you can't have a magazine with more than 10 bullets. It's going to be a real hard sell to say, no, you're not allowed to carry a firearm, even though you're an adult. You can vote, you can go join the military and carry a gun, but you're not allowed to carry a gun even though Texas has virtually no other gun control in the whole fucking state. I don't even know why the state of Texas is defending the decision. It doesn't even make sense. William Latin, 637 Eastern. Sticks, do you have a personal biographical work? Would love to read about transformation from Christian to atheistic, Satanism to pagan, etc. I've covered that in videos, but I don't think I want to release an autobiography. Certainly not till I'm older. That's sort of the thing that you do when you're older and you have more to write about. I've led a crazy life and mostly a very fulfilling one, but there's not necessarily enough to fill a novel. We got so much news today, too. Next story. This is from CNN Politics, so take everything they say with a grain of salt. Why former White House press secretary believes Trump was aware of Bannon's plan. Former Trump White House press secretary Stephanie Grisham reacts to audio of Steve Bannon discussing Trump's plan to declare victory in the 2020 election, regardless of the outcome, 3 days before Election Day. Now, let me put forth some problems with this particular tale. And you'll notice After this broke a couple of days ago, you haven't seen a whole lot of legacy coverage of the Bannon tape. It was supposedly explosive. It's going to knock your socks off. This is the kill shot. This is how Trump goes to jail, and all of that hyperbole. Leftoids were retweeting it and talking about how it was going to end Trump's possibility of re-entering a political career. He'd be dragged off like the big orange fat baby he is, pooping and rambling the whole way. And all of this other weird fetishistic Ted Kaczynski shit that the leftoids tend to do. That won't happen. Trump will not go to jail. He will almost certainly run in 24. They're not going to be able to stop him, presumably, from doing that. They've lost. The January 6th committee is horseshit. Here's the thing. There are several problems. The first problem is, of course, this is technically hearsay. Now, if you had a proper investigation in a full-on court, the audio wouldn't necessarily mean very much unless there's some sort of corroboration. Secondly, the only thing that Bannon is saying is that Trump said days before, hey, yeah, I'm just going to declare victory regardless if the results start coming in. And notice that they leave this out of this little write-up here. If you go to the link in the description, you'll see the archived link there from CNN Politics. They conveniently leave out a very, very telling line. And of course, this was on purpose, which is that Trump figured he would announce early as the results came in because he'd be winning, because he expected to win. And so he wasn't going to wait until everything's announced. You're just going to declare victory. That's typical of political candidates. When a candidate is clearly out ahead by a significant margin, typically they declare victory, unless there's some compelling reason not to. This is not only not insurrection-y, it's literally nothing. It's literally meaningless. Other candidates have done the same. The other part that I would say, of course, if you looked at the results the night of, Trump was. He was out ahead by, in some cases, six-figure margins in a number of competitive states. The race hadn't been called. He declares victory. At the time, honk, honk, of course, the next day, all of the mail-in votes came in, and slowly Trump, lost just enough votes in enough states to lose the election. Michael Bloomberg predicted that several weeks prior. Let me ask this. Is the J6 committee going to ask Michael Bloomberg how he knew exactly what was going to happen the night of? I dare say that they won't. I dare say that the House committee the Republicans convene might ask that after the midterms, though. Hey, we're subpoenaing all of your records that you clearly have by now bleach-bitted because we want to look into it. And they'll find some shenanigans, but it will lead to nothing, the same as all other investigations in government tend to lead to nothing. Because people know how to cover their tracks. Shane Blackwood, Sticks mug I bought last year is awesome. Use it every morning in Sydney, Australia. Thank you for that. There are currently no official mugs or other merch available. Still working on that. 209 Tacos, diaper donation. Appreciate you, man. Dave Smith, 2024. Eat the taco. Yeah, breakfast tacos. I made one. It was a taco shell uncooked with mayonnaise. Jill Biden's favorite. I have a feeling I made it a little bit too spicy, though. I should have watered down the mayonnaise first. Giovanni Rivera. Hey, Sticks, I loved your bit about boomers being a bunch of hippie sellouts. This was verified when I heard my father say that Trevor Noah is actually funny, and my mom said Cardi B was real to her. Shaking my head. Yeah, the boomers use too many drugs, and half of them have brain damage now, so don't blame them too much. So yeah, the next news story, the Bannon tape, which has already fallen out of the news cycle, is fucking horseshit. Nobody gives a shit. Next one. Ex-CIA engineer convicted of biggest theft of secret information in agency's history. Ex-CIA programmer Joshua Schult convicted of Vault 7 breach to WikiLeaks. Kitty, you almost skidded right off the table. Again, many such cases. A former CIA programmer was convicted Wednesday of federal charges in connection to the massive Vault 7 theft of secret information provided to WikiLeaks in what the Justice Department describes as one of the most brazen and damaging acts of espionage in American history. Joshua Adam Schult was once a CIA programmer with access to some of the country's most valuable intelligence-gathering cyber tools used to battle terrorist organizations and other malign influencers around the globe, according to a statement released by U.S. Attorney Damian Williams. And then basically he started to waver in his loyalty to the CIA, and he decided to dump everything to WikiLeaks. Now, what actually was happening? The specific tools involved basically turned smartphones into recording devices. It was remote access to smartphones, etc., to try to spy on people. Do I have a problem with the U.S. government attempting to spy on militant groups that are clearly involved with attempting to attack our assets? No, I don't. What else was this being used for is my question. Was it used to target people in the UK and in the other Five Eyes nations? And then reciprocity, they use the same tools to target Americans as a constitutional workaround? Fucking of course it was. Why do you think they're prosecuting him for this? Was it used to spy on American citizens, while they're overseas? Probably. Was it used to spy on Americans domestically? Maybe so. You'll remember the NSA releases that we got. They lied over and over again as they were continuously challenged on their premises, defending themselves. We found out fairly quickly, yes, Americans' core data, not just metadata, not just foreigners, not just people, there's a warrant, they're reasonably suspected of a crime. No warrant issued, American citizen, they're not living abroad, they're not a member of any group, they're not talking to foreigners, they're still being spied on illegally. Congress did nothing, unfortunately, about this. There should still be a pending case about it. Ted Cruz, by the way, backstabbing the American people and their Fourth Amendment rights in the process. Why would this be any different? And then they keep trying to gun after WikiLeaks itself, which is nonsensical. Oh my God, you reported this material after contacting the State Department repeatedly to appraise them of the situation and redact things properly so nobody got hurt. Oh my God, Julian Assange is such an evildoer. Joshua Schultz did commit espionage. Was it justified? Yeah, I think that it was. I don't see the problem with telling the public about these spying tools' existence. Yeah, maybe some terrorists are able to avoid detection as a result of knowing that the program exists, as though they didn't already know that. It's the lame streamers that don't know they're being spied on. It's Soccer Mom America that basically ignores that. Do you think that ISIS members and Al-Qaeda, Taliban members and shit don't know that if they have a smartphone that it can be turned into a listening device? Dude, the fucking FBI and CIA have been doing that for decades. It's not a new thing. I don't see what the harm to the nation is. Garrett Thomas, any plans to do new tech only live chat so we can ask anything? Also got my new Nice Mask Loser stickers on the back of the Volvo now. Good on you for the stickers, by the way. Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't be able to broadcast it on YouTube if I did that. Also, we got Midwest Gunnar on Rumble. On your midterm stream, be sure to check in with your old co-host, Ramsey Paul. He has recently been doing live streams with Collins at 12 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, if he wanted to get on the midterm stream for a slot, but I think he's probably going to be live streaming himself. I can check in with him on that. And the guest lineup will not be mentioned until maybe the day before the midterm live streams. But I do have a co-host that will be announced. And has been. It happens to be Sleazy P. Martini. Hair Juicer 3000. Good morning, Sticks. Buy some wipes this time. Clank. Yeah, those are expensive, by the way. Ass wipes for babies and stuff. Wet wipes. All right, next story. This comes from Fox Business. Through MSM. I'm not sure why. Searing hot inflation data opens door to 100 basis point Fed rate hike in July. The Fed, I don't really care about the basis points and stuff. It's too obtuse for people to care. Long story short, the Fed is going to react to the new inflation numbers. They're high. They were higher than expected. And so probably they're going to raise the rates significantly in an effort to cool down the economy. Of course, you get less of the lending and investment thing. People don't take out as much debt, hopefully, and it slows the economic growth down, and the idea is to dissuade inflation. That's just great. I don't think it'll work. Not without a draconian rate hike that would collapse the economy. What you'd end up with is shrinkage. Then you end up with stagflation. You'd end up with more joblessness. Yeah, the inflation's going down. Too bad half the country's unemployed. This happened in the 1970s, just to let you know that it has happened before because of the Fed's actions. Here's the problem. They've got no other option, potentially, because otherwise the inflation will go way higher. Right now, we're already staring down the barrel of a gun in the United States and elsewhere because of food shortages, because of supply chain issues, both self-inflicted and foreign-inflicted. The Ukraine crisis is a thing, as well as fertilizer prices. Food is a big part of that core inflation. It's going to skyrocket. Fuel is another part. There hasn't been any major change in energy policy except for some short-term relief because of a gas tax holiday. Well, that's great. You lowered the gas prices by a measly 40 cents. The problem is that they rose by more than $2 prior to that. The average American right now is living on life support on their savings and or on credit. That is a disaster waiting to happen. And so the Fed will hike the rates, probably significantly. And that makes sense because the alternative is hyperinflation. The problem is that there are no good solutions to this. The best solution was not to get in the mess to begin with. No attacks on U.S. energy, no lockdownerism, so keep trade moving, keep things producing, and abandoning Bidenomics. We should have done that preemptively. Unfortunately, just enough idiots in the United States decided to elect Joe Biden and a bunch of Dems to the Senate, and now the rest is history. Now you have to sleep in the bed that you made. Unfortunately, everyone else will have problems as the result of it, including people that made the right decision and rejected Bidenomics. Bill Breitbart on Twitch. I voted Trump. I'm not responsible. I know. That's the sad part. You have to suffer along with the people that are. It's sort of like when you were in elementary school and some kid did something wrong and wouldn't own up to it, so everyone got punished. It's sort of like that. It's like I think that people who believe in a lot of welfare, okay, pay more taxes, pay for the welfare yourself. Don't ask other people to do it. You want to start a war? Then you fucking fund the war. I shouldn't have to fund the war that you want to start. I expect that the Fed will overshoot the mark, and I expect it will begin stagflation. I do not trust the Federal Reserve to make a proper decision about how much to raise it in order to balance inflation without causing more joblessness. I believe we will enter a stagflationary recession. I don't think it will be V-shaped. I think things will be quite bad for quite some time. Rather sad. Zumagod, this is awesome lol. Group punishment is prohibited under the Geneva Convention. Yes, unfortunately, inflating the currency, thus draining away money from the lower classes to pay for golden parachutes for Pfizer is not illegal. Which is literally what happened. I mean, Moderna, sorry. I have to get it right, otherwise it's disinfo, I suppose. Next story, long lines are back at U.S. food banks as inflation hits high. Yes, breadline Biden, food bank Biden, Phoenix, AP. Long lines are back at food banks around the U.S. as working Americans overwhelmed by inflation turn to handouts to help feed their families. With gas prices soaring along with grocery costs, many people are seeking charitable food for the first time, and more are arriving on foot. Inflation in the U.S. is at a near 40-year high, and gas prices have been surging since April 2020, with the average cost nationwide briefly hitting $5 a gallon in June. By the way, a prediction that Trump made, he was correct. Rapidly rising rents and an end to federal COVID relief have also taken a financial toll. The food banks, which had started to see some relief as people return to work after pandemic shutdowns, are struggling to meet the latest need, even as federal programs provide less food to distribute, grocery store donations wane, and cash gifts don't go nearly as far. We're in fucking trouble. Because before, think about what happened like peak COVID, peak lockdown. Unemployment has soared. A lot of people are out of work. They go to the food bank. At the time, though, self-inflicted as though it was, the situation made sense. You have high unemployment. You have a lot of people, they don't have an income at the time, so they need to get their ramen and their carrots and stuff. They have to go to the food bank or the church or something. Now, though, these same people are still going to the food bank. They're fucking employed. Biden has created an economy so obtuse and so dysfunctional that people that have a job are still going to the fucking food bank. And it's not just people at the lowest echelon with a part-time burger flipping gig. It's not just some 20-year-old who's a starving college kid who says, my God, I can't even afford the ramen. Shit, I have to go to the local Protestant church and beg for a food box or something. These are people, it's not just the retiree on Social Security. It's people who are in the working class. Hey, I had this job. We didn't have a huge amount of money, but we were able to buy our fucking bacon, so to speak. Now I have to humiliate myself going down to the food donation bin, even though I've got a reasonably stable job because, I just had a kid and shit and, shit's all fucked up. It's entirely self-inflicted, by the way. And some of these people will be retarded enough to vote for Joe Biden again. That's the real problem. Ryan McKenna, good morning. Clanks to all. Have you ever seen Ryan Dawson's stuff? Yes, I have. If so, any thoughts? I always thought you two had similar takes. He goes down more rabbit holes, hence he's banned on everything. Yeah, I like his content. I don't agree with everything that he says, but that's the case for literally every creator. Hell, even my brother from another mother, Razorfist, he's completely wrong on multiple counts on food. He thinks pineapple doesn't go on pizza. I think it's delicious. He eats his steaks like a 10-year-old. Well done, probably with ketchup. I grew out of that at some point. Also, because he's a Southwesterner, he doesn't understand the difference between chili that's a main course and chili that's a topping or a side dish. So he decries the concept of putting beans in the chili. I don't understand. How can someone with good style, good musical taste, and great takes on Michael Jackson be so wrong on food? But that's Razorfist in a nutshell. He has become a food heretic. I will put pineapple on the pizza. I made pizza with pickled beet slices on it, a couple months ago just to prove that I would eat it. And I ate every bite of it. Although I will admit it wasn't great. It was all right, I suppose. Next is pickle pizza. Dill pickles with extra dill. And extra cheese, of course. I think it was Hotep Jesus, I think, was sharing that out. Okay. Yeah. How? In just a moment, everyone. How long outbound? All right, we have somebody coming here, so I'll have to cut it short, but I do have a couple more news topics. Please don't send any more super chats, just so that I can bum through these more quickly. Bilbo's blog, thoughts on governor's race in Arizona. Not any huge thoughts about it at the moment. I'll wait until there's more polling. Matt Danny, to all the poor that are worried about jobs, there is military with 6 branches that are all hiring. Stay frosty, peasants. Yeah, see, the problem is that they don't want people that are too old or that have any form of sickness, et cetera, even though they're less choosy now. You can be demented and join the military, so they don't have a problem with that. The Grizzly, the Great Depression is upon us. All hail Lord Potato Brain and his Tard Wrangler in Chief, the Easter Bunny. Justin Yang, Bezos Dem 2028? No, I don't think Bezos has any political ambitions. He's too busy raking in billions of dollars. Why would he care about wasting his time in politics? Next story. This is actually from The Verge. This is leftoids, but they're fundamentally right. The future of cars is a subscription nightmare. Heated seats, remote start key fobs, and other creature comforts are likely to be subject to monthly or annual fees. Yes, automakers are basically trying to charge people a monthly or yearly fee now to use different things in their car. It's wasteful. It's completely stupid. It makes no sense unless the only goal is the automaker is grifting a little extra cash. But I don't really care about cars with heated seats or auto starters or anything like that because, of course, I don't give a fuck about these things. My car is nigh on 20 years old or something back in Rutland, 15 years old rather. I don't think it has heated seats, or it does, but they don't work or whatever. I prefer old style cars. It's a car. You get in it, you fucking drive where you want to go. Most advanced thing that needs to be in it is an air conditioning unit and a heating unit. In Vermont, the latter is more important, generally speaking. Don't care about any of the other things there. I don't use GPS. I'll use a fucking map before I'll hook up GPS in my car. I don't want the car to have any form of automated system for parking or anything because it could be hijacked and used to attack the car. I don't care about heated seats because it's a meme. Here's the thing, though. What I do care about here is that this microtransaction sort of horseshit is going to become the norm for computing. You watch what'll happen over the next 5 years. Pretty soon, if you have the wrong opinion, you won't be able to use your computer the same way. Well, we've detected that you did hate speech online. We're not going to let you use our word processor. You might make a word file that's naughty. You watch, and this will happen. They will attempt to take more and more proprietary ownership over the digital devices that you use. Your phone, your laptop, your fucking iPad, whatever the hell you happen to be using. It will happen. Why? For the same reason this is happening. Number one, it can. Number two, it can make them money. And number three, groups that have a lot of money will pressure them to do so. The SPLC, ADL, etc. They will say Microsoft is not doing enough to make sure that people using their computers aren't mouthing off online. We shouldn't have to rely upon the big tech firms to censor people when you can shut it off at its source. And so they'll have a million different ways of doing this. They will invade your privacy more and more, and the liberals will be fine with it because they'll say, well, it's a private company. You signed the end user license agreement. What the fuck are you fucking complaining for, you stupid fucking hillbilly? That is what will happen. It will happen over the next few years. It will not just be an individual app. It will be your actual device. It will not. And why do you think that they're making Windows especially look more and more like a goddamn giant smartphone, even if you're using a desktop? It's not because of intercompatibility. You think that they're not capable of designing it to look and feel and work the same way that laptops and PCs already have for decades? You think they're not physically capable of doing that? It'd probably be easier if they did. They want to make it more app-based. Everything has your name associated with it. Everything's logged. You're signing a dozen different contracts to basically make use of your computer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It will happen. Because it's current year, lol, would be good if OS companies did that. Then it will get broken up. RIP. No, they won't. You think Congress will do anything to Microsoft or Apple for doing so? They will demand it. Amy Klobuchar will come out any day and demand that this happen. We need to make sure that people don't have as much proprietary control over their files, and they'll use the excuse of copyright. Well, people downloaded all this illegal music and videos for so long, and we can't just say that it happened 20 years ago, so we're going to let them keep the file. We need to automatically go through all those files, and in a proprietary sense, we will automatically delete them if we detect them on their device. We need to, if we detect them, we'll lock them out of using their USB drives. They can do this. They have the technology, ergo they will. This is why I plan to get an older computer next time around. I'm not going to use Windows 11. I'm probably going to start using Linux, and I'm going to have everything customized, and I'm going to tailor it to my details. I'll probably hire someone for top dollar to do this for me. I'm not going to use Apple because Apple is garbage. I'm going to stop using Microsoft because Microsoft has become garbage, which is sad. Windows 7 was pretty good. Windows XP. Vista, not so much. But this is the foreshock. They're trying to do it to cars. Why can't they do it to your operating system on your computer? Why can't the computer distributor do it? Why can't there be an automated bloatware program on there that you can't remove for penalty of it stopping working, and it automatically re-uploads itself if you try to and you're internet connected over and over again? Why can't they force you to use the computer the way that they want? You signed an agreement. And if you don't sign the agreement, you can't use your computer. They kind of got you over a barrel now, don't they? Yeah, I'll downgrade to Windows 7 before I'll use 11. It is more functional, certainly more secure. Next one. This is the roll call article. Ratings show GOP taking House control, but no red wave yet. I analyzed that this morning, so I'll keep it a little bit more brief. At this point, Democratic candidates overperforming Biden. There are so many problems with this article. It is a lie by structure. Problem number one. At this point, Democratic candidates are overperforming Biden. Biden has a 17-point approval gap. In order to overperform him, you can be 10, 15 points behind. The statement literally says nothing. Second problem, first few sentences of the article, verbatim. Analysis. If the election were held today, it looks as if Republicans would gain 7 House seats. This is an underestimation. We'll go with it. According to Inside Elections individual race ratings. While that would be enough for a majority, it certainly wouldn't qualify as a red wave. 90+% of all the people that ever clicked on this article have stopped reading by the time that sentence is over. Those first few sentences, the image and the little subheader there and the title. And if it was tweeted out or blogged about or something, some of them didn't even go to the article. What did they just absorb as the information contained in the article? By a source that some of them will consider authoritative. This is a far left site, Roll Call is. This dude, Nathan Gonzalez, former CNN analyst, so liberal. What did they just absorb? They absorbed, hey, there won't be a red wave. Republicans are only going to get in 7 seats. Yeah, they'll take a House, but by a couple of seats, who cares? Still, that doesn't mean Democrats can rest easy, and GOP gains are likely to be higher. Here's the lie by structure, part 1, and the rest of the article effectively countermands the entire first few sentences. The rest of it is an analysis of, hey, no, actually 18 seats would make more sense. Hey, it could be 25 seats. We don't know. RCP says one thing, and Nate Silver says another. For what little that's worth. And here's another site that says something totally different. Hey, maybe they gain 50 seats. There's already some evidence that Republicans are headed for significant gains. This is halfway down the article. The House battleground is disproportionately Democrat territory. Redistricting can make it complicated to assign incumbency in specific seats to a party. But Democrats currently represent 55 districts rated as competitive, compared to Republicans who represent just 23. Hey, could part of it be the number of retirements and people not seeking re-election among Democrats, which is at an all-time high now already, and you still have more time to go before midterms potentially? Literally the highest? Republicans somewhere in the middle, historically speaking? No, that won't have anything to do with it. In July 2010, the Rothenberg Political Report rated 76 Democratic-held seats and 12 Republican-held seats as competitive, with an overall projection of 28 to 33 seat gain for Republicans, with possibly larger gains in excess of 40. By that November, the House battleground had shifted even more. The Rothenberg report had 100 vulnerable Democrat seats to just 9 Republican seats and upped the overall projection to a GOP gain of 55 to 65. Republicans gained 63 that year. Okay, so if we're going by the Rothenberg political report, we'll just wait and see what they have to say, right? The problem is that's 2/3 of the way down the article. It's a total lie by structure. So anyway, I just thought that I would get that off my chest because that dude actually deigned to reply to me when I was laughing about the tweet and laughing about the article. And he indicated a belief that I was just calling out the tweet as misleading. I was like, no, it's not just the tweet. The article itself is even worse. Durin Albane, Windows 11 already pushing old school dumb terminal cloud computing for corpos. Yes, cloud computing is a cancer. Don't use it. Store everything locally and on removable drives when possible. If it is important, you should have it on you, and it should be removable in case the computer is compromised, just for security reasons, let alone shenanigans from the company that technically will always own your computer because Congress won't stop them from doing so. Sort of like slavery when you think about it. It's perpetual ownership. Max Rosh sent $9.99. Thank you very much. Again, though, please no more super chats. I do have one more thing to talk about, and it's funny. We're going up on an hour anyway. We'll keep it short today. This is from Ashley St. Clair, one of the few verified accounts on Twitter worth listening to, by the way. Who did this? And you should definitely take that link because it's hilarious. It is AOC talking about big booty and stuff like that, and she's looking at a picture of Trump playing tennis. You know that one that Democrats like to use where Trump, because of the angle, it looks like he has the badonkadonk thing going on? Clearly, she's just wants to date him. She's sad because he's busy with Melania, so he doesn't have time to wine and dine AOC and give her the money that she so desperately wants. Oh boy, how funny. Down below, they've got another one with the actual person who trolled AOC, and she's saying the same thing. This has become exploitable. AOC, is a lol cow and a cringe lord. Not a very intelligent person. I don't think that she really thought ahead on the giving attention to the troll thing. So basically, the only thing that her idiot fans are doing right now is attempting to prevent him from ever working again, Andrew Stein, by shutting down comedy shows and shit, which won't work, by the way. We're getting a little bit old for the constant censorship thing. That era is beginning to wane, thankfully. If Elon ends up being forced to buy Twitter, hopefully that will affect that platform too. Battle Elf, Trump is thick. Yeah, it's okay. By the way, when they were memeing Trump and saying, oh, look at that ass and stuff, that wasn't sexual harassment. That was perfectly fine. They could say it about Melania too, and frequently did. AOC, though, totally off limits. How dare you criticize our angel, our pissed princess? Oh my God. By the way, we're live at 6 o'clock in the fucking morning Eastern time. Still got over 2,500 people watching. I realize it's a little bit early and a little bit truncated. But I did want to get to an actual live stream, and we do have someone coming over later. So I think that I'm going to go off now. Got other things to do. I already cleaned the floor and stuff. I was working my ass off this morning. Vacuuming, dishes, clothes, everything. I like being organized. I don't like a messy house. When you have a child, of course, it's a struggle against entropy sometimes. That's about all. Peace out.